Hi, I'm Kent Martz. Welcome to On the Hunt with Alpen. Today we've got Rick White with us. He's the coordinator of the Alpen ProStaff and ProStaff member Lance McCutcheon, who's going to talk about scopes. At the end of the broadcast, we're going to update you on our weekly special. Hey Rick, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing quite well. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing good. You got some snow on the ground, don't you?
Oh gosh, yeah, we got lots and lots of snow and a lot of cold weather heading our way this week. I mean, single digits and below zero temperatures for the next 8-10 days. So I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was looking at the forecast. It's supposed to be down to like 15 here on like Saturday night, which will be the coldest it's been for this year anyway. And I didn't look closer at what it's going to be from there on out. All right, so this is Lance McCutcheon. He's going to be talking about, as I said, scopes and giving us a whole bunch of knowledge about coatings and the way the scopes work and the new products we have coming out. What do you want to talk about, Lance?
Take it away.
Take it away.
I actually used to work for Bresser and Alpen. I was an employee here for 7 years. I got to help design some of the rifle scopes, red dots, game crammers. Got to do quite a bit of that kind of stuff. On the rifle scope side, really and truly, most rifle scopes are all the same. It's all about the coatings and then the type of material that you're used, if it's a one-piece or two-piece or even three-piece scopes. Pretty much every scope that Alpen sells, or actually every scope that Alpen sells and makes, is a one-piece scope.
What do you mean by one piece?
The whole tube is one assembly all the way across. There's no cuts, there's no divides, there's nothing in there that makes that two different pieces itself.
So where the flare is, where it goes out to the bell,
Yep.
That's actually expanded metal. It's not been soldered or welded or brazed on,
Yep.
correct?
It's all machined straight down, so there's no breaks in that machine all the way across.
The benefits of that are?
It holds the purge. So all rifle scopes, binoculars, things like that, are purged with an inert gas. Some are argon, some are nitrogen. But those gases keep moisture from getting inside that rifle scope or the binocular. It keeps it from fogging up. It keeps them from, if moisture gets inside, it can also cause problems like mold and things like that. So when you purge a rifle scope or you purge a binocular, it keeps it from doing that. Now it's still going to fog up on the outside, so you will get that fog on the ocular ends or the objective ends of your lens, but that's easily just wiped off, or when the temperature changes a little bit, it just kind of sucks off of there.
So how did you go about learning about scopes in general? Rifle scopes, shotgun scopes?
Yeah, so on rifle scopes and shotgun scopes, when I started at Explore Scientific, I started in the customer service department. And with the customer service department, I learned a lot about what people wanted and how they reacted to different scopes and binoculars, and even we did telescopes and everything else too at that time. So I learned a lot about optics in that sense, because you have tons of people that are using it for cameras. They have tons of people that are using it for astrophotography or just regular photography. So all of those different things kind of played into how I learned about the optics side of it. And then you started learning about the coatings and what coatings do, and like I said, the gas purges and stuff like that. And when it comes down to rifle scopes, it's not about really the glass that's on the outside, it's all the glass on the inside, and then the coatings that we use, like EMD coatings and stuff like that, to keep light reflection down. So learning about that on the customer service side, because I had to learn how people used cameras to take those pictures and why you would use those coatings to keep those light diffractions down. It's the exact same thing. Your eye is a camera. So your eye sees those same diffractions. And when you use the coatings to knock those diffractions down, then it's just light coming in. So the clearer the better the light, the clearer the better the glass.
So Lance?
Yes.
if I might jump in, now I know you're an excellent tech guy, and you're my go-to guy when it comes to those types of questions. But for the average hunter, one of the big questions I get asked a lot of times is I've got this gun, whether it be a rifle or shotgun or high powered or lower powered or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
How do I pick out a scope? I mean, what do you tell those people when they're out looking for a scope? What do you tell them?
Yeah, so it all depends on distance. The longer the distance the gun can shoot or the firearm can shoot, you want a scope that's going to have a lot more magnification. Your objective is also, which is the end of this right here, the size of this right here is how much light comes in. So the bigger that is, the more light comes in, so darker objects actually look brighter, if that makes sense. With rifle scopes and certain guns, like say a shotgun, you're not going to get a whole lot of distance out of that shotgun. So you would want something maybe like a 1-4 or a 1-6 power. Some people just use red dots because, really, a shotgun is a pretty low projectile. You start getting into rifle cartridges. There's some rifle cartridges that can reach up to, 1,800 yards, 1,900 yards, which is crazy, but you need a lot of magnification because the further away an object is, the smaller it is. So you need to magnify that up to actually be able to hit that target.
What do you, I sight a lot of my scopes in, and of course, the type of hunting I do is generally 200 yards and in.
Yeah.
So I tend to sight mine in about an inch high at 100 yards. Do you have a recommendation on that?
Yeah, sure. I would say the standard, just kind of the American standard across the board, is to sight in at 25 yards. And once you get it sighted in, then you want to shoot about an inch to maybe 2 inches high. And then you should be good at 100 yards, depending on what gun, because pretty much any firearm, even one firearm, if you're shooting, let's just say the most popular right now is really a 5.56. So if you're shooting a 5.56, there are tons of different powder options and bullet options like grains. So when you change those, even your barrel has a different twist ratio. When you change those, it actually changes how the gun shoots and if it rises or drops faster. So the heavier the bullet, usually the faster the drop. So it's all about knowing your gun and shooting that gun. Designs on reticles and things like that can help you in that sense, but it's always about practice. It's always about, safe shooting and practice. You just got to get out there and you got to shoot.
One other question I get quite a bit. Explain, briefly, what's the difference between an inexpensive scope versus a more expensive scope? I mean, you're really getting what you pay for, but what are you getting?
That kind of falls into that, like when you get the 1-piece and 2-piece scopes, you get into 2-piece and 3-piece scopes, there's a lot of pieces in there that are hooked together that whenever that firearm goes off, there's a concussion. So that concussion can cause those pieces to move. And you don't want that. So definitely the lower end scopes are not made for high caliber rifles. They're going to give you, and you can usually call the manufacturer and get the actual caliber rating. Every scope that Alpen sells that I know of, unless we've changed anything, they're all like rated for a 50 cal BMG, which is a lot of concussion.
Yeah.
Right.
That'll
All right,
break.
let's talk a little bit about binoculars.
Sure.
There's so many different styles. There's open bridge and closed bridge, and there's different powers and so on and so forth. Explain the differences from a hunter standpoint and what you recommend. I mean, maybe a rifle hunter wants a different pair of binoculars than a bow hunter, perhaps. But yeah. What's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. So a really good rule of thumb is your scope. If you're rifle hunting, your scope kind of maxes out at a certain high range. So if it's a 1-6, then you want something close to that 6 power. If it's a 1-9, you want something closer to the 9 power. And you can do that simply because that's the max magnification, so that's going to be the furthest that your scope is going to see. Now, when it comes to bow hunting, really it doesn't matter on bows because your shot's going to be a low shot. It's going to be a close-in shot. Most bow kills are between 20 and 30 yards. But you want to be able to see a deer at 150 yards coming in. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come in, but on the bow side, you can carry I would say, between an 8 power and a 10 power is really good. 10 power can reach out there really good. 300 yards, and you can see a deer really, really well with a 10 power. So on that side of it, it really comes down to what do you feel comfortable with? Do you feel comfortable with a heavy set of binos on your chest or on your pack, or do you want that lighter set? And that has a lot to do with the hunting styles as well. Like, me and you turkey hunting, I love to turkey hunt, but you run and gun sometimes, just like we did over in Kentucky. So, when you're running and gunning like that, having a big heavy set of binos on you is not ideal. So, in those shorter distances that you're going to be shooting or trying to go for, especially, bow hunting or turkey hunting and stuff like that, a lot of it is, the comfort. You're just keeping it comfortable and keeping the binos maybe small and compact to keep them hidden, maybe not getting in the way.
The other thing is how light the new binoculars are.
Oh, yeah.
The new magnesium bodies really make a difference in the binoculars and how much they weigh, and they make them so much easier to use. And one thing I've been impressed by looking through these scopes and through the new binoculars, how much brighter they are than just one generation ago, maybe 4 years ago, not even versus 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's all in glass design and composition.
And coatings.
And coatings.
Yep.
And it's truly a shock. One of the guys here in the office was looking at some binoculars a little while ago, and he was blown away by how much brighter they were. And he went, it's because we're in the office. And he went outside and looked at some birds and trees and came back and went, these are fantastic. And he's buying a pair of them.
Yeah.
So,
even on the binos and rifle scopes, the prisms on the inside are getting better as well. The better quality of the glass, the better quality of the coatings, the better quality of the prisms, all of that makes a huge difference in light transmission. And basically everything you see is light.
A good pair of binoculars, what I like about a good pair of binoculars, and I like E-glass, it's just one of my favorites, but when you get into those dark shadows and stuff, you can still see detail.
Yep.
And a lot of my hunting situations, especially towards evening or early morning, I need that light gathering quality in binoculars to really see what's going on. But you mentioned our turkey hunt. Let's talk a little bit of turkey. I know we'll be doing that a lot between here and now in turkey season, but you and I had the opportunity to hunt with another pro staff member of ours, Mike McDonald, in Kentucky just I don't know, a year or two ago. And I don't know, what'd you think of that hunt? And tell the people how it went.
Oh, it was a blast. It was so much fun. We'd set up and we were watching a tom kind of behind us coming, and he had, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hens with him, and we could not get it to come up that hill. And I remember us sitting in the blind, and I remember looking over and seeing this hen walking right in the middle of all of our decoys. And then we kind of took our setup and we were going back to the truck, and then we hear a gobble. And it wasn't maybe 100 yards from us. And basically me and Rick, we stalked it. It was absolutely amazing. It was me and Rick, and a long time growing up. I mean, I've watched Rick, growing up and hunting on shows. So it was really awesome to be out there with him. And then we're tracking this turkey, and finally we get to one point where we know that he is really, really close. I mean, he's gobbling, and you can feel when he drums, you could actually feel the vibrations. And I had sit up against a tree, and Rick actually laid down behind me and couldn't see the turkey. And he would call, and he'd say, "What is he doing?" And I would tell him, and then he would call again, and he got that turkey to walk right in front of me at about 30, 35 yards, and I took him. It was absolutely amazing.
So how did you stalk a turkey without him busting?
Well, he says stalk, and what he meant by that was the turkey was gobbling when we'd call, so he was kind of dragging us through the woods. So we weren't really stalking the turkey, but we were staying up with him. He was sounding off, gobbling to us, letting us know, and he was moving. He was on the move, and we just stayed with him. And eventually, when he got to a spot where he wasn't moving anymore, we were able to set up, and then we started calling and brought him in. So yeah, that's kind of how it went. But
Scott Butler just asked a question. He asked, he says he's in the market for a scope for his 308, and said, PM me. So we'll work on getting you a private message to you, but we can talk about that a little bit. What do you think about for a 308?
Yeah, sure. 308 is actually a pretty long range gun. A lot of snipers use them. Military uses it, and it's a nice big round to use for big game and actually all the way down to deer. I mean, I even know some people that use them for coyote hunts and stuff like that too. You're looking for a long range scope. You know, you're going to want something with at least 9 power or over. You know, I would even suggest maybe even going up to somewhere like in the 14 to 18 power range, just so you can get that, you know, 500 to 600 yard shot and be a little bit more confident with that shot.
And the critical to taking that shot is, like you said earlier, get out the range and practice.
Yeah, practice, practice.
You can't pick up a rifle and go out and try and poke a hole in a deer from, you know, 600 yards if you've never shot before. So anyway, Scott, thanks for that question. We appreciate it, and we encourage everybody. If you got a question, go ahead and post it in the comments, and we'll be happy to try and get it answered on the air, or come back and talk to you, either in a private message or an email or whatever, however you want to contact us. All right, so Rick, we're going to now throw it over to you. What are you going to be talking about?
Well, you know, right now, a lot of what's going on here now is, you know, these, you know, bucks are starting to drop antlers, and depending on where you're at in the United States, it can vary. And our prime time, you know, shed hunting really starts the end of February, first part of March. But I've been watching my bucks here in the yard, and I would say at least 50% of mine have dropped already. And now we've got a bunch of snow. It makes them hard to find. But, you know, people want to get out and find them as they drop, because squirrels get them, mice get them, other shed hunters, you know, even though they're not supposed to be on your property, they're getting them. And so I want to talk a little bit about shed hunting. Now, I would recommend that if you're not worried about people getting into your timbers, that you wait until a majority of your bucks have shed, because I don't like to go in and bump my bucks this time of year. Keep in mind, at least 50% of them probably still carrying one, or if not two. So I kind of wait until most of them have dropped before I go in and start looking for them. But I am concentrating on food sources, where they're spending time. And it's real easy to tell here, because we got a lot of snow on the ground, and it's so easy to find out where they're feeding, and of course where they're bedding. So I look for bedding areas as well, another great place to find them. And then travel routes, especially in areas where they're jumping fences, and that kind of thing, because I find a lot of antlers that pop off when they're jumping fences or going under them and that sort of thing. And you know, there's so many things that people do with antlers. Some people collect them just to have them. Some people make chandeliers, and some people use them for knife handles, and some people just stack them in the corner. I've got some photos. I don't know if Paul's showing any of them.
He's showing them. Yep, we're looking at them right now. We're looking at a chandelier or a stack, it looks like.
And I got a buddy that stacks them in the corner of one of his hunting room there, Jason Miller, and he's one of the top shed hunters that I know. I mean, he finds tons of them, and he's got a shed hunting dog, and he has pups. I mean, it's a silver lab, absolutely beautiful dogs, and he has pups. So if anybody's interested in pups, he's got them. And but you know, he goes out and and shed hunts with his dog, and areas where like multifloral rows and places like that, where it's hard for me to get in and around, or any person, you can send your dog in there, and it's just amazing what they're able to find. And he actually trains them. There's it's a unique thing. You have to train these dogs, but once they're trained, it's remarkable how they actually go out and find more sheds than we do. But shed hunting is getting to be a real popular thing here in Iowa, and I don't know how many other states, but they actually sell sheds and have shed auctions, and some of them get sold to pet stores, and there's just a million different uses for sheds, it seems like. And I go out and do a little bit of shed hunting. I don't overdo it, just because I don't have the time, but I like to wait until the end of February, first part of March. But I may get out now and travel some of the deer routes, because the trails are pretty thick and heavy right now, so it's easy to tell where they're spending their time. But it's just a fun pastime, and sometimes you find some, sometimes you don't find any at all. It's just the luck of the draw sometimes, but it's good exercise. It also allows me to get out and get in the woods. And while I'm shed hunting, I'm actually scouting. I can't tell you how many tree stand locations that I've picked over the years just from being out shed hunting. So, it's just around the corner. And I'd recommend, if you haven't done it, get out there and exercise and look for sheds.
So Rick, I've trained some duck dogs. How do you train a shed dog?
Well,
any idea?
You're asking a person that's never done it, number one, but they do it similar to a bird dog. They drag sheds around the yard and then hide them. The dog will actually send them and find them. And I don't know how they actually start them, but there's a lot of congratulating the dog, and I'm sure giving them snacks and stuff when they get on the right trail and that kind of thing. But it's very similar to dragging a feather around. They smell antlers. It's unbelievable, but they do.
That's cool. It'd be cool to get some video and have him on sometime to talk about, the techniques he's built up and how he goes through that. That'd be a cool thing to see, especially the video of a dog working.
He's one of the top shed hunters that, the best I know.
That's
so
awesome.
We will get him on sometime. That'd be a good show for sure.
Right. So what's the biggest shed you've ever found, Rick?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I found 74 incher, which is a big one. I've got one right here that it's not too bad.
Don't pull up an elk horn.
No, but this is a decent one here that I found a couple of years ago. You find all kinds of them, and now I've seen people that have found absolute giants, but yeah, I get pretty excited even with small ones. In fact, sometimes small ones are kind of cool sitting up on your shelf and stuff.
Do you know that the deer that came off of, Rick?
I do, yeah, and that deer was actually harvested the year after I found that. Not by me, but by one of the hunters, and we actually have the sheds from this the year prior, both of them actually too. So
I've seen pictures.
That's what makes it fun too. When you're shed hunting places you hunt, and you're using trail cams and you have pictures of these deer, and now you can age them, but you can also get a rough score because a lot of times photos make deer look bigger, and it's a very good learning experience to actually take the photo that you have that year and size it up with the antler, because you can measure that antler and give it an estimated spread and double it and be fairly close to what that deer actually scores. And then you can kind of go back and look at the photos and say, in my case, I'm usually, they're always about 10 inches smaller than what I think they are. But it gives you an idea that going forward that, okay, that deer I think is 160 inches, so it's most likely 150. And it really helps kind of give you an idea, which is all part of management when it comes down to it.
That's a great technique. I had a question, and I was impressed. Oh, I've seen pictures of people who have found the sheds of the same deer year after year, and stack them up, and then there's the head. And I think that's just a fantastic story of that deer's life to keep together, to see what it was as a yearling and what it became as a 4 or a 5 or a 6-year-old. It's just fascinating to see the progression the animal makes. I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, I shot a nice one in Ohio last year, and and my buddy Brian's place, who I was hunting on in Ohio, and he actually had the previous 3 years of sheds and gave them all to me when I harvested the deer, which was was awful nice of him. But I've got that keepsake because I've got the actual deer mounted, and then I've got his previous 3 years worth of racks, and that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Pretty cool. All right, hey Rick, tell us about the special this week.
All right, so the special, and I'm going to read it right off my list here. It's a great special, like they all are, week to week. But this is an Alpen rifle scope. In fact, Lance has one right on the table, right there. It's the new Kodiak series. It's the model 2060, and it's a 2.5 by 10 by 50. The regular price on this scope is $349.49. Though this week's special through Sunday at midnight is 50% off. The special price is $175. So all you have to do is get on bresserusa.com or Alpen's website, order the model 20 Kodiak series 2.5 by 10 by 50, and then put in the promo code on the hunt, lowercase with no spacing. That'll give you the 50% off discount. And another great special this week, like always.
On the hunt, all lowercase, no spaces. We'll get you this great rifle scope to spend your spring getting on your rifle. Go out there and put a lot of lead down range. Find out how it fits your scope and make it work. Then be ready this fall to go take care of business.
Yeah, they take advantage of these specials because you're not going to buy them any cheaper any other time. Now, next week's show, just to let you know, I've got Chris Davison, who is part owner of Wild Memories TV show on the Sportsman's Channel, and we are a proud sponsor of their show. And I'm going to have him talking to us about what they've experienced this year as they've been out filming, and how they like the optics and that kind of thing. So that's on next week.
Okay, so one more time, go to bresserusa.com, pick the Kodiak rifle scope model 2060. Buy some other stuff too while you're there. You don't just have to buy the rifle scope. There's some other good stuff there. And go to checkout, promotional code on the hunt. So what recipe we're going to talk about this week, Rick?
Oh gosh, Lance, you got a recipe by chance? Off the top of your head?
Yeah, pheasant recipes.
Let's hear it.
What's that?
Let's hear it.
So I'm a big bird hunter. I love turkey hunting, pheasant hunting, all kinds of game like that. And pheasants are some of my favorite. So I like to breast the pheasant out and then take a tenderizing hammer and flatten it. And then I take that and I was watching last week, and I might start trying something that Rick does, but I usually add the seasonings and stuff into my batter. And then I'll just batter it with a little bit of cornbread and a little bit of flour and then seasonings, and then I just fry it and then basically make a sandwich out of it. I think it's great. I love doing it that way. But Rick was saying last week, he was saying that he actually seasons it afterwards. I think I'm going to try that because I can see how you're kind of baking the seasoning off when you do that.
So when you fry it, do you pan fry it or deep fat fry it?
No, I pan fry it.
Pan fry it, okay. Do you split the breast open and spatchcock it, or do you just flatten it out and try and get it the same?
Just flatten it out.
So I've seen techniques where people will split it, especially chicken breast, and then get that thing really thin so it cooks quick.
Fillet it out.
Yeah, fillet it out, butterfly it basically.
Yep, butterfly, yeah, exactly.
But you don't do that?
Nope, I do not.
Okay, all right.
I'll have several turkey recipes as we get a little closer to turkey season. And one of my favorites along with turkey season, at least here in the Midwest, is morels, mushrooms. And we'll be talking a little bit of morel mushroom hunting along with cooking them right beside your turkey breast. So lots of great recipes coming up between now and turkey season. So get your pen and paper out in the next few shows and we'll have some.
So Rick, be sure and share with everybody your favorite morel hunting spots, because that's only fair to let everybody know where your favorite spot is.
Yeah, they're all in Arkansas, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I'll show you places that are my favorite spots not to go to look for morels. Anyway, so time's up. We've finished up the show. We'll be back next week. And be sure to go to bresserusa.com for the model 2060 using the discount code on the hunt, all lowercase, no spaces. And I forgot to say, Lonnie's not here. He's tied up for the next couple of weeks, so I'm going to be setting in for him. And then Lonnie will be back with us in subsequent shows. So, on behalf of Lance McCutcheon and Rick White, I'm Kent Martz. Thank you for joining On the Hunt with Alpen. Too late.
Good optics are a must for a hunter.
the new Alpen Tetons. They're lighter, they're better in low light, excellent, excellent glass. You'll be hard pressed to find that glass for under $1,000. Everything that you would want in a pair of optics. I know what I'm looking for, and once I know what I'm looking for and find what it is, that's what I'm interested in buying. The bottom line is they're affordable, they're lighter, and they're great in low light. The new Alpen Tetons. Another deer coming out. You know, good optics are a must for a hunter, particularly binoculars, not only during hunting season, but times like this when it's time to start scouting. But there's one thing you need to do when you get your binoculars that a lot of people don't realize. You need to set them up for yourself. Everybody's eyes are a little bit different. And here's how I do it. It's simple and easy. Just take the binoculars and just kind of grab good focus on an object. And I go and put my hand over the left lens. The diopter ring, which is on the right side, I will go ahead and adjust that until that right eye is in focus. Once it is, I take the hand off the other side, both eyes in focus, and you're ready to go. It's simple and easy, and it's a must that you do this before you go out and use them.